The land between two rivers. This is the literal meaning of Mesopotamia, the ancient Greek name for the region we now call Iraq. It is here, in the fertile basin of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, that civilization as we know it first took root. From the invention of writing to the development of sophisticated mathematics and astronomy, the ancient Mesopotamians left an indelible mark on human history. But the story of Iraq is not just an ancient one. The land that witnessed the rise of Sumer and Akkad also witnessed the grandeur of Babylon and the might of Assyria. Through the ebb and flow of history, Iraq has stood at a crossroads of culture and conflict. It has been a prize sought by empires, a battleground for competing powers, and a crucible of intellectual and artistic innovation. Our journey begins in the south, in the land of Sumer. The Sumerians, ingenious and innovative, built great cities like Ur and Uruk. They developed a writing system known as cuneiform, wedge-shaped marks pressed into clay tablets. North of Sumer, a new power was on the rise. Akkad. Sargon of Akkad, a ruler of immense ambition, forged an empire through military conquest, uniting the disparate city-states of Mesopotamia under his rule. The Akkadian language, a Semitic tongue, spread throughout the region, becoming a language of administration and trade. Following its collapse, Mesopotamia fractured once more into a patchwork of competing city-states. From the ashes of the Akkadian Empire, a new power emerged in central Mesopotamia, Babylon. Hammurabi is perhaps best known for his law code, one of the earliest and most complete legal codes ever discovered. The code, based on the principle of an eye for an eye, aimed to establish justice and order within the Babylonian Empire. Hammurabi's code stands as a testament to the sophistication and innovation of Babylonian civilization. The rise of the Persian Empire in the 6th century BC marked a new chapter in the history of Mesopotamia. Cyrus the Great, the founder of the Achaemenid Empire, swept across the region, incorporating Babylon and its surrounding territories into his vast domain. Under Persian rule, Mesopotamia, now known as Babylonia, became a satrapy or province within the empire. The Persian period witnessed a blending of Mesopotamian and Persian cultures. The 7th century AD witnessed a seismic shift in the history of the Middle East with the rise of Islam. Emerging from the Arabian Peninsula, the Islamic armies quickly conquered vast territories, including Mesopotamia. The arrival of Islam brought with it a new faith, a new language, and a new social order. Baghdad quickly emerged as a center of learning, commerce, and cultural exchange. Baghdad, under the Abbasids, became a city of legendary status, renowned for its intellectual vibrancy and its architectural grandeur. The House of Wisdom attracted scholars from far and wide. The caliphs generously funded libraries, observatories, and hospitals, fostering an environment of intellectual curiosity and innovation. The Golden Age of Baghdad represented the zenith of Islamic civilization in Mesopotamia. The Golden Age of Baghdad, however, was not to last. Internal strife, political instability, and external pressures gradually weakened the Abbasid Caliphate. The Mongol conquests of the 13th century brought devastation to the region, including the sack of Baghdad in 1258. The fall of Baghdad marked the end of an era, signaling the decline of a once great power. As the dust settled on the Mongol conquests, a new power began to assert itself in the Middle East, the Ottoman Empire. Emerging from Anatolia, the Ottomans conquered Mesopotamia in the early 16th century. Mesopotamia, divided into different provinces, became part of the Ottoman administrative system. The Ottoman period witnessed periods of both prosperity and decline in Mesopotamia. The 19th century witnessed the winds of change sweeping across the globe. The Ottoman Empire faced internal challenges from rising nationalist movements within its diverse provinces. Mesopotamia felt the tremors of these changes as ideas of Arab nationalism began to take root. The stage was set for a period of profound change. As the old order crumbled and new visions for the future emerged. Section 3, Birth of a Nation, Iraq's Uncertain Beginning. World War I shattered the fragile peace in the Middle East. The Ottoman Empire, allied with Germany, faced Great Britain and its allies. The war dragged Mesopotamia into a global conflict, reshaping its destiny. British forces invaded Mesopotamia in 1914 to secure oil resources. In 1917, British and Arab allies captured Baghdad, weakening the Ottoman Empire. The collapse of the Ottoman Empire ended centuries of rule in Mesopotamia. The future of the region remained uncertain. The British grappled with competing interests over their former Ottoman territories. The British mandate over Mesopotamia ignited widespread protests and uprisings. Section 4, the monarchy, a time of promise and turmoil. The 1920s witnessed the birth of a new nation in Mesopotamia, Iraq. Under the British mandate, Iraq's boundaries were drawn, incorporating Baghdad, Basra, and Mosul. In 1921, Faisal I was crowned King of Iraq. The monarchy era began, marked by progress and turmoil. Oil exploration promised economic prosperity. Internal rivalries and coups reflected the state's fragility. A republic's troubled dawn, coups and instability. The monarchy in Iraq faced a dramatic end in 1958. A military coup led by General Abdul Karim Qasim toppled the monarchy, ushering in a republic. The coup marked the beginning of a period of political instability. Qasim attempted to steer Iraq on a course of modernization and non-alignment. He implemented social reforms and invested in infrastructure projects. However, his rule was marked by political repression and growing unrest. In 1963, Qasim was overthrown and executed in a Ba'ath Party coup. The Ba'ath Party promised to restore order and unify the Arab world. Iraq found itself caught in a cycle of coups and political violence. The rise of Saddam Hussein, a grip on power. From Iraq's turbulent politics, Saddam Hussein emerged to dominate the country's destiny. A cunning operator, he consolidated power within the Ba'ath Party, becoming president in 1979. His rule was marked by brutal authoritarianism, repression, and a cult of personality. Obsessed with control, he established a vast security apparatus to silence dissent. He purged rivals through public executions, instilling fear within the party. To legitimize his rule, he embarked on ambitious projects, projecting progress and strength. He invested in infrastructure, expanding education and healthcare, promoting himself as a modernizer. However, beneath the modernization lay a brutal reality. His regime systematically suppressed dissent, targeting enemies with ruthless efficiency. The Gulf Wars and international isolation, a nation tested. The 1980s witnessed Iraq embroiled in a costly and devastating war with its neighbor, Iran. The Iran-Iraq War, sparked by border disputes and fueled by ideological differences, dragged on for 8 long years, exacting a heavy toll on both countries in terms of human life and economic resources. Iraq, heavily reliant on its oil exports, found itself increasingly isolated on the international stage. Saddam Hussein's brutal crackdown on internal dissent, his use of chemical weapons against Iranian troops and Kurdish civilians, and his support for terrorist groups drew international condemnation and sanctions. Despite the devastation and economic hardship caused by the war, Saddam Hussein emerged from the conflict with his grip on power strengthened. He portrayed himself as a defender of Arab nationalism against Iranian expansionism, rallying support from some segments of the Arab world. However, his regime, burdened by war debts and facing growing internal pressures, made a fateful decision in 1990 that would have far-reaching consequences: the invasion of Kuwait. The invasion of Kuwait, a small oil-rich nation on Iraq's southern border, triggered international outrage and condemnation. The United States, leading a coalition of international forces, launched Operation Desert Storm in 1991, a military campaign aimed at liberating Kuwait and removing Saddam Hussein from power. The Gulf War, a testament to the overwhelming military superiority of the US-led coalition, resulted in a swift and decisive victory. Iraqi forces, outmatched and outgunned, were driven out of Kuwait, and Saddam Hussein's regime once again faced international isolation and sanctions. Section 4. The end of an era, Saddam's fall, and the road to uncertainty. The US invasion in 2003 toppled Saddam Hussein's regime, but unleashed chaos and violence. Iraq descended into sectarian violence, insurgency, and a humanitarian crisis. The country faced the daunting task of rebuilding and forging a new political order. The international community now faced the responsibility of assisting Iraq in its quest for peace. Section 1. The dawn of a new Iraq hope amidst the ruins. The fall of Saddam Hussein's regime in 2003 brought a mix of emotions to Iraq: relief from the grip of a dictator, but also trepidation about an uncertain future. The invading US-led coalition promised democracy and a fresh start. For many Iraqis, weary of decades of oppression and war, it was a glimmer of hope amidst the ruins. The early post-invasion years were a time of both promise and peril. Iraqis participated in their first democratic elections, choosing a transitional government tasked with drafting a new constitution. The sight of ordinary citizens lining up to cast their votes, many for the first time in their lives, was a powerful symbol of hope. However, the euphoria of liberation soon gave way to the harsh realities of a nation struggling to rebuild. The coalition's initial optimism about a swift transition to democracy proved to be overly optimistic. The dismantling of the Iraqi army and the purging of Ba'ath Party members from government positions, while intended to dismantle the remnants of the old regime, created a security vacuum and fueled resentment and instability. Amidst the challenges, ordinary Iraqis displayed remarkable resilience. They returned to their daily lives, rebuilding their homes, reopening their businesses, and striving to create a sense of normalcy amidst the chaos. Teachers returned to their classrooms, doctors and nurses to their hospitals, determined to educate their children and heal their communities. Section 2. The struggle for stability, challenges of a nation rebuilding. The path to a stable and democratic Iraq proved to be long and arduous. The post-invasion years witnessed a surge in sectarian violence as Sunni and Shia militias, suppressed under Saddam Hussein's rule, now vied for power and influence. The country descended into a spiral of violence, with bombings, assassinations, and retaliatory attacks becoming tragically commonplace. The US-led coalition, initially unprepared for the complexities of nation-building and the ferocity of the insurgency, struggled to contain the violence and stabilize the country. The presence of foreign troops, while intended to provide security, became a source of contention, fueling anti-Western sentiment and providing a rallying cry for insurgent groups. The Iraqi government, formed through a fragile power-sharing agreement between different sectarian and ethnic factions, faced the daunting task of rebuilding state institutions, restoring law and order, and providing basic services to its citizens. Corruption, mismanagement, and political infighting hampered efforts to rebuild the country and address the root causes of the conflict. Despite the challenges, there were glimmers of progress. The Iraqi people, weary of violence and instability, yearned for peace and a return to normalcy. Civil society organizations, often working at great risk, emerged to promote dialogue, reconciliation, and human rights. Section 3. The unseen scars, social and humanitarian costs. While the world watched the political and security situation in Iraq unfold, the human cost of the conflict often went unnoticed. The years of violence, displacement, and instability left deep scars on Iraqi society, scars that would take generations to heal. Millions of Iraqis were displaced from their homes, seeking refuge in neighboring countries or within Iraq itself. Families were torn apart, communities shattered, and the social fabric of the country strained to its breaking point. The loss of loved ones, the destruction of homes and livelihoods, and the constant fear of violence left an indelible mark on the collective psyche of the Iraqi people. The healthcare system, once a source of pride for Iraq, struggled to cope with the influx of casualties from the conflict. Hospitals and clinics, often lacking basic supplies and equipment, were overwhelmed with the wounded and the dying. The psychological toll of the violence, manifested in widespread trauma, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder, added to the burden on an already strained healthcare system. The education system, too, suffered a devastating blow. Schools were destroyed, teachers fled their posts, and children caught in the crossfire of conflict were deprived of their right to education. The loss of a generation of educated and skilled individuals posed a significant challenge to Iraq's long-term development and prosperity. Section 4. Looking towards the horizon, navigating the future. As the US military presence in Iraq drew to a close in 2011, the country faced an uncertain future. The rise of ISIS in 2014 posed a new and formidable challenge to Iraq's fragile stability. The Iraqi security forces, with international support, fought back against ISIS, liberating occupied territories. Iraq, still grappling with past conflicts, faced the daunting task of rebuilding and creating a prosperous future. The resilience of the Iraqi people and their hope for a brighter future offer optimism. Section 1. A legacy etched in time. Iraq's story is not a single narrative, but rather a complex tapestry woven from the threads of countless civilizations, empires, and individuals. From the fertile plains of ancient Mesopotamia, where civilization first took root, to the bustling streets of modern Baghdad, Iraq has witnessed the ebb and flow of history, leaving an indelible mark on the course of human civilization. The echoes of Iraq's past resonate through the ages. The innovations of the Sumerians, the grandeur of Babylon, the intellectual vibrancy of Baghdad under the Abbasid Caliphate, these are but a few chapters in Iraq's long and storied history. The land that gave birth to writing, mathematics, and astronomy, that witnessed the rise and fall of empires, and that served as a crucible of cultural exchange, continues to captivate the imagination. Yet Iraq's journey has not been without its trials. Conquest, conflict, and political upheaval have left their mark on the country, testing the resilience of its people and shaping their collective memory. The scars of war and dictatorship run deep, reminding us of the human cost of conflict and the fragility of peace. Section 2. The unbreakable spirit of Iraq. Despite the challenges it has faced, Iraq's spirit has never been broken. From the ashes of conflict, the Iraqi people have consistently displayed remarkable resilience, rebuilding their lives and their communities with determination and hope. Their spirit, forged in the crucible of adversity, is a testament to the enduring human capacity for resilience and renewal. The Iraqi people, known for their hospitality, their warmth, and their love of culture, have preserved their traditions and their heritage through centuries of change. Their poets, their musicians, their artists, and their storytellers continue to weave narratives of resilience, of hope, and of a shared identity that transcends the divisions of the past. The story of Iraq is a story of a people who have refused to be defined by their circumstances. It is a story of survival, of adaptation, and of a deep-rooted connection to a land that has witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations. It is a story that reminds us that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit endures. Section 3. At the crossroads of history. Today, Iraq stands at a crossroads, navigating the challenges of post-conflict reconstruction, political transition, and the fight against terrorism. The decisions made today will shape the country's future for generations to come, determining whether Iraq will fulfill its potential as a beacon of stability, prosperity, and tolerance in the Middle East. The international community has a responsibility to stand by the Iraqi people, as they rebuild their country and forge a new future. Support for democratic institutions, investment in education and economic development, and a commitment to fostering dialogue and reconciliation are essential ingredients for lasting peace and stability. Iraq's journey is far from over. The country faces immense challenges, but it also possesses vast potential. Its history, rich in both triumph and tragedy, serves as a reminder of the importance of learning from the past, of embracing the present, and of working together to build a brighter future for all. As the sun sets on another chapter in Iraq's long and storied history, one cannot help but feel a sense of hope. The road ahead may be long and arduous, but the spirit of the Iraqi people, their resilience, and their determination to shape their own destiny offer a glimmer of optimism for a brighter tomorrow.